In this video, I'm going to show you trim automation without using trim read mode in Reaper. So I have a project set up here with a guitar loop, a kick, and a drum loop. Let's hear it without the loop, and now with the loop. But I want to automate the drum loop to come in and out at different parts of each measure, like this. So we'll use automation. We'll right-click over here and choose touch mode. This way I could bring it down to a lower point and let go. It'll jump back up to the louder level, like this. And it'll play back while we're in touch mode. So you can see what the fader's doing. But now we want to take it out of a write mode so don't accidentally re-record the automation. And we can do that two different ways. We can switch it back to trim read, which puts the fader back to 0, or we could trim the automation we just wrote. But we're not going to see the automation we just wrote. We could see it in the envelope down here, but our fader doesn't move. But we could trim it to be lower overall by going below 0, or louder overall by going above 0. But let's say we wanted to see the automation. Let's say this envelope was hidden, type V to hide the envelope, and now we're not going to see the automation moves, but we're still hearing it. But to see it, we could switch it to read mode right here. And now we'll see the fader move. But now we can't trim it. We can't move this fader as it ignores any movement we make. So we only have two choices: to either see it play back and not be able to trim it, or be able to trim it but not see it play back. But there is another way. Let's put it back to read mode so we see the fader move. Let's view this envelope by typing V. Now we'll see it play back, but we can't trim it as we're not in trim read mode. But we can trim it directly from the envelope. We could double click right here, which selects all the points, and we can bring it up or down right from here. That's going to trim what we're hearing in real time while we play it and also see it on the fader. But notice it also affects left-right movement, and we don't want that. We just want to bring it up and down, and we can do that with a modifier. Control-Shift on the PC or Command-Shift on the Mac, and now if we move it up and down, it's only going to move in one direction. Move it left and right, it doesn't move. But now we could trim it in real time and hear it play back louder or lower overall, like this. So we're trimming our fader and seeing the result right here in real time, and always seeing what's going on, even if we hide this envelope. Because we're in read mode, we're always going to see it play back. But again, we can still trim it at any point by double-clicking in the envelope and adjusting our points while holding down the modifier. Now, if we don't want to hold down the modifier, we could change it by adjusting our mouse modifiers. Let's go to our preferences, Control-P on the PC, or Command-Comma on the Mac, which opens up the Reaper preferences. We'll go down here under Editing Behavior to our mouse modifiers, and go to the context envelope point, left drag. And we can see by default, it's going to move our envelope point. Or if we hold down those modifiers, it's going to move the envelope point on one axis only. But we can change the default to behave that way. Right here, on one axis only, save it. And now, without holding down a modifier, it's only going to move in one direction, either up and down or left and right, depending on which direction we move first. So now we could do it without a modifier. Trim the fader movement or the envelope like this. Or one of my favorite ways to change it is to change the default to only move vertically, and this option to only move horizontally. So now, if we hold down the modifier, it's only going to move left and right. So if we want to change the timing of this envelope, we could do it like this, without worrying about which direction we move first. Or if we want to move up and down, just grab it by default, without any modifiers, to trim this envelope. So again, without using any modifiers, we could trim this envelope or fader right from read mode, and always see what our fader is doing while we're trimming any previous movements. And we could hide the envelope by typing V, and always see what our envelope is doing, as we'll see it on the fader. Want to trim it, we could do it without switching to trim read mode. Just stay in read mode, view the envelope, and adjust it right here. But keep in mind, you don't want to grab in here, in between 2 points, as that adjusts the envelope segment. We don't want to do that. You need to grab one of the points. And we're done. We could hide the envelope and still see what it's doing. So that's pretty much it. That's trim automation without using trim read mode in Reaper. I hope you learned something. Hope you could use it, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.
Bingo, boys, let's go.
Bye.